Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to Fascination Street.
I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street. Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with actor Tony Winters. If you're like me and you were a huge fan of the 1980s TV show Hunter, you may recognize Tony Winters, but probably not because it's been a really long time and he doesn't look anything like that. But what you will know him from is the new Showtime drama Yellowjackets, where he plays the high school principal. That is coming out at the beginning of November, and then toward the end of November, in theaters everywhere on November 24th, is Rick Roman Waugh's STX film drama National Champions. Besides the great Tony Winters, this film also stars J.K. Simmons, Timothy Olyphant, Jeffrey Donovan, and even Kristen Chenoweth. I had so much fun talking to Tony that we continued our conversation for a half hour after this interview was over. I can't wait to take my whole family to see National Champions on Thanksgiving weekend this year, and you should too. But in the meantime, this is my conversation with the wonderful Tony Winters.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Tony Winters. How you doing today, Tony?
I am doing well. I have no complaints.
Fantastic. Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles.
How is the weather? Let me guess. 74 and sunny.
83 and sunny.
What? Y'all having a heat wave?
I guess, man, but it's been really nice here lately. And I think it's supposed to warm up over the weekend as I remember seeing on the news.
Interesting. All right. Well, Tony, what I like to do is I like to take listeners on a journey from how you got to where you were to where you are. So if you don't mind, man, where were you born and raised? Where'd you grow up?
Born in San Diego, California, but raised in the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, snap. I'm just going to start calling you the Motor City Madman from now on.
That's cool. I'm good with that. I'm down with Ted Nugent. Rock on, man.
No, I'm not even talking about him. There was a boxer who was from Detroit, and he also went by the Motor City Madman before he changed his boxing name.
Are you talking about Thomas Hearns?
Yeah, the Hitman.
Okay.
So before he was the Hitman, he was the Motor City Madman.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to go with that guy.
All right.
Ted Nugent, he's pretty polarizing, but Tommy is not. So
we're just talking about music here. We're not talking about his politics.
Oh, his music is great, or it was. I don't think he's made a cool song in 40 years or maybe longer.
I think you're right.
What did your parents do? Why did they move all the way across the country?
My father and my uncle were baseball players.
What?
In fact, they played in the Negro Leagues. They played for the Kansas City Monarchs during the 56, 57 seasons.
Yeah.
And they got an invitation, as I understand it, to play for a minor league team in San Diego. And they were going to be given jobs.
Jobs aside from playing.
Because
back then, they didn't make all this stupid money.
Exactly.
All right.
So they took a job with a company called General Dynamics, which was an aircraft manufacturer.
Sure.
And they played minor league baseball. But my mom really wanted to go back home. She wasn't happy. They returned to Detroit. My uncle stayed. My family moved back to Detroit.
I'm sure you've seen this, but there's a really cool documentary. I think it's a documentary. Yeah, documentary from a few years ago called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. And it talks all about
that Oakland team, right?
Yeah. So they talk about back in the day when nobody made any money, and they touch on the Negro League a little bit and a bunch of the stars who nobody knows their names, but they were big stars back then in the minor leagues and things. So listeners, go check that out. Look for it. I don't know where it's at. Why are you coming at me? Called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. It's really good.
I watched it. I came across it fairly recently. So I only have Netflix and Hulu, Prime Video, and a couple of others.
I was going to say.
It's up there somewhere. I came across it very recently.
And you better have Showtime also. No reason.
Well, Hulu shows all the Showtime stuff.
Oh, does it? I did not know that.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody buy Showtime anymore. I'm with you.
Even though I have an upcoming project on Showtime.
That's what I'm saying. But we'll get to all that. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, gosh. I thought I wanted to be an astronaut. Of course, I grew up during the Apollo era.
Hey, well, guess what, man? This is 2021. Everybody can be an astronaut. You can be a 90-year-old overweight, not very friendly actor who's a has-been from a space show, and you could be an astronaut too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I guess I wanted to be an astronaut when I was very young. I wanted to play pro football. In fact, I wanted to be O.J. Simpson.
Wow.
I know it sounds funny to say now, but
I'm going to write this down.
But you got to understand that O.J. Simpson was my Joe DiMaggio. When I was 12 years old, he had just broken the single season rushing record and he was in movies. He was a pop culture figure. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to win the Heisman Trophy at the University of Michigan.
Sure.
And then I wanted to
run through airports, right?
Run through airports and then run off to Hollywood and make some movies.
Nice. Well,
that's what I did. I just cut out the middle part.
Well, just sort of the end part even. I also have a tangential relation to OJ. Mm-hmm. So look on your screen. What does it say my name is?
Steve Owens.
Steve Owens. That's correct. What year did OJ Simpson win the Heisman Trophy?
I'm going to guess say 1968? 67?
I think it was 68. And who won the Heisman Trophy in 1969, the very next year?
Steve Owens.
Steve Owens, that's right. And guess where
Right.
He played most of his career?
I don't recall.
Detroit. All right.
That's right. That's right.
Now we're related, you and me. See how easy that was?
We have our connection.
So you wanted to be all of these things. You wanted to be an OJ astronaut. I get it. That's cool. Well, where did you go to school?
I went to high school in Detroit.
In Detroit. Okay.
I spent most of my high school years kind of running the streets with my friends.
What? Detroit?
So I just thought. So I barely squeaked my way out of high school and I couldn't get into any universities. I had visited San Diego, California the summer before because my parents had been long divorced by that time. So between my junior and senior year, my mother sent my younger brother and I out there because we were getting in so much trouble to spend the summer with my dad. And that's when I get my first memories of Southern California. And I saw the Pacific Ocean for the first time, palm trees, blue skies. And I even went to Hollywood. And I had always had this vague notion that I wanted to be an actor. I just had always enjoyed movies and television shows, more so than everybody enjoys movies and television shows, but I wanted to be in them. And I knew that from a very early age. And in fact, when I was in high school, I used to dance on a local dance show that was kind of like a poor man's Soul Train. It was called The Scene.
A poor man's Soul Train. I love it.
So anyway, I kind of gotten a taste of, being in front of cameras and seeing it play out on television. And I kind of dug it. And so anyway, that summer when I visited San Diego and Los Angeles and I saw Hollywood for the first time, Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Walk of Fame, took the Universal Studios tour. And suddenly my vague notion of being an actor became a little bit more tangible. You know what I mean?
I do.
Like, okay, this is real. This isn't just something that happens inside of my television set. This is an industry where people work. And so I kind of had a revelation at that time that this is where I'm coming. I don't know how I'm going to get here or when I'm going to get here, but I'm coming to Hollywood. And that's what I did.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that maybe one of the reasons that summer it kind of became tangible is because you came from Detroit, which was really all you knew. Mm-hmm. And that's not a realistic occupation in Detroit. And then all of a sudden for this summer, you're over there in San Diego and you go to Hollywood, and that's where it actually does happen. It would be like if you were a kid who grew up in, let's just say, Manhattan. And you're like, mm-hmm. Well, being a cowboy is not really a thing that happens where I'm at. But then you go visit Dallas or whatever. Right. And you're like, holy shit, that's a real thing. I can do that.
Exactly.
Because I think it made it real. It made it actually doable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the lack of snow and the abundance of bikinis probably did not hurt.
That didn't hurt at all. And I'll tell you something. When I was in the 10th grade, before that trip to San Diego, I got frostbitten pretty badly.
How? What happened?
Yeah.
Well, I was sleeping outside one day. What happened?
I'll tell you. There was a girl over my house.
What?
There was a girl over, and it was the week Roots aired.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
That puts you in a time and place.
Sure.
It was 3 below zero in Detroit.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And she came to see me. And I was about 15 at the time. I didn't have a driver's license, but I had kind of gotten into the habit of stealing my mom's car and going for a joyride every now and then. So by the time she was ready to go, my mom was asleep. I didn't want to walk her a mile away, walk her home in sub-zero temperatures. So I got my mom's car and we rolled out of the driveway in neutral. I started up. We got about halfway down the block and the car got stuck in the snow. And I told her to get in the driver's seat and I'm going to push the bumper. I'm going to push the car. I didn't have on any gloves. Now, remember, it's 3 below zero and my bare hands are on the car and I'm pushing and pushing. It's not going anywhere. Well, anyway, my older brother somehow sees me from the window and comes out and gets the car. She walks home. And I woke up, my hands were numb. And my mom called our family doctor and he said, this back in the days when you could do that.
I was like, how'd she get his number?
She worked for him. She worked for him.
All right.
And she called, he said, just wrap his hands in some warm towels and he'll be fine in the morning. Well, that morning I woke up and I pulled my hands out from underneath the covers and they were like baseball gloves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, freaked me out. I couldn't write. I would go to school and I just have to kind of memorize what was being lectured in my classes. Yeah, it took several months to recover. And I just said, you know what? If there's ever a choice in my life between being in a warm weather climate or a cold weather climate, the warm weather will be the choice every time.
Oh, that makes sense to me, man.
Wow. I've never told that story, not publicly anyway.
Nice. I'm glad you shared it here. Let that be a lesson to you, kids. Always, 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 when you steal your parents' car, start it in the driveway so you've got a good run before you get hidden in the snow.
You're hilarious, man.
Thank you. I mean, down here in San Antonio, it doesn't snow very much, almost never. So all of those times growing up where we stole our parents' cars, but whether it was me or my sister or our friends or whatever, we never had to run into snow. We would have gotten into a lot more trouble than we did had there been snowbanks around for us.
Yeah. The best idea I ever had, but.
And my parents didn't have any doctor's phone numbers, so my hands would still look like baseball gloves. So did you go back and finish school in Detroit and then come out to LA?
Well, I finished high school. I graduated from high school.
But back in Detroit, right?
In Detroit.
Okay. All right.
And then I moved out to San Diego.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Because the junior college system there was free.
Oh, nice.
Get my grades together and then go on to a 4-year university. And I was living with my aunt and uncle at the time. My aunt knew that I wanted to be an actor. And she said, well, you got to start doing plays. I said, well, I can't do a play. I've never done a play before. So she would come home with articles from the arts section. There's an audition for this play or that play at this theater or that theater. So I started going to auditions and I started getting cast in plays and I loved it. I just embraced the whole process, the audition process, the rehearsal process, the discovering characters, the scene study, and it became my life. And I just did play after play after play. I did Spell Number 7 by Ntozake Shange. I did musicals, Guys and Dolls, Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope. I did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest out at the Cornell Playhouse. I did a production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
That's an interesting one for you to do.
Yes, especially we did the first all-Black production ever.
I was going to say, right around that same time, I was Othello. So.
Oh, no kidding.
No.
Oh, you are kidding.
I am kidding. Oh, yes.
Well, I thought maybe you did it in blackface, man. Who knows?
Oh, my God. Well, it was a different time. So
it was a different time.
Still not cool, but it was a different time.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I did, man. I did a lot of theater in San Diego, student films, and then my younger brother was killed.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry.
Younger brother who had come with me to San Diego.
Is he the one who helped you out when you got stuck in the snow?
No, that was my older brother.
Okay.
But my younger brother was 19 at the time. I don't want to get into the story, but
okay,
some street stuff. And it just really took the wind out of my sails, made me suddenly aware of my own mortality. And I just said, you know what? To hell with college. I'm going to Hollywood. So I dropped out and I got a job as a tour guide at Universal Studios.
Oh, cool.
I had lined it up from San Diego. I came here and I got that job and started pounding the pavement.
And you've been in LA ever since?
Yeah, I've never left.
That's fantastic.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to the Player Series. I'm Gary Player, and throughout the series, we're going to take you through incredible stories, conversations with legends and current players, perspectives on current events in and around golf, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe to the Player Series on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
Let's get back into it.
Now, we're going to talk about all kinds of things that you've gotten to do, work with some really cool people and do some really cool things. But I guess you helped raise me. And this is what I mean by that. You played the medical examiner on Hunter. And when Hunter was the thing, that was my absolute favorite TV show. I loved that show so much. And if you go back and look at it, you're like, what the fuck are those cars? Oh my God. Everybody's driving like a 1980 Plymouth Fury. And you're like, what the fuck is this? That was the kind of show where somebody would peel out on gravel, but it would sound like they were on pavement.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And Fred Dreyer was a LA Ram, right?
Yes, he was a Ram, NFL Hall of Famer.
Tell me about how you came to be the medical examiner on the TV show Hunter.
I got an audition. What I remember most specifically about it was there was a scene in which my character was explaining to Hunter and the rest of the police brass about a poison that was circulating in a certain community. And the name of the poison was called pseudocyanoparadoxin D.
Damn. It's been 93 years and you still remember that. That's amazing. Do it again.
Pseudocyanoparadoxin D.
Love it. Now, was this a poison? Like, was it a drug?
It was a drug that was being sold. And my character...
It was fentanyl.
Ozzy Dunbar had kind of isolated the compound and was, informing the police about this for their investigation. So I saw that word in the material and I was like, well, how the hell do you pronounce that word? So I remember I went to a pharmacist.
So that you saw that. So that was in the audition?
That was in the audition material.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose.
So I go to a pharmacist. I walked into like a CVS or something, and I asked the guy, I said, how do you pronounce this word? Because there was no internet at that time. You couldn't just look it up or find a pronunciation. So he broke it down for me and told me it was a totally fictitious chemical. So anyway, when I walked into the audition, that word rolled off my tongue just like it did just now. It's emblazoned in my memory. And I knew I stood a good chance because I looked very scholarly, young and scholarly at the time. I had these glasses, and it was a contractual thing after I landed the role that I had to wear my glasses on camera, which no actor does, but
sure.
That was in my contract that I had to wear. I stand 6'2", and Fred is like 6'5". So I stand next to him. We look good together. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think I was a really good fit for the role. That was my first recurring role on a primetime series. So it was an amazing experience.
And obviously no details, but that was back in the day when people got paid to be on a network TV show. So that's awesome. No details.
I was well compensated for that one.
That is fantastic. So I love that they made you, like in a contract, you had to wear the glasses. I got a buddy of mine out there in LA. Every once in a while, he'll do a commercial or whatever. And he got a commercial. And then on the first day of shooting, the director looked at, I don't know, whoever, and said, where's his glasses that he wore during the audition? He was like, oh, I didn't bring them. And they were like, well, we hired you because of the way you looked in the glasses. So you're going to need some glasses. So I think that's really cool that they actually put it in your contract. They're like, this dude looks dope. He looks smart as shit. We're going to need those glasses. So I love it. I love it. Now you did a bunch.
It's kind of been the hallmark of my career, man. I've always been able to handle kind of what we called in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, what Tennessee Williams referred to in Cat on the Hot Tin Roof as $5 words. I've always had a kind of a knack for, complicated dialogue.
And do you always go back to that same pharmacist? Oh, here's a question. Did you go back to that pharmacist and give him a little taste of some money? You're like, look, dude, I wouldn't have got this role. No, you did not. But I'm sure you shopped there a lot just to say thanks.
I continue to this day. It's right up the street.
Nice. That's awesome. So you've done a bunch of cool stuff and worked with a bunch of cool people. Days of Our Lives and whatnot. The coolest thing on the planet, Hunter. I see that you also worked with Mike Nichols. Now, Mike Nichols directed one of my favorite movies of all time. It's called Closer. There's only like 6 people in it. It's Jude Law, Julia Roberts, Natalie Portman, Clive Owen. Shit, that's it.
I saw that movie.
That was a Mike Nichols film. And that's one of my favorite films of all time. I've seen it a million times. But what did you do with Mike Nichols? And what was it like to work with that dude?
Primary Colors.
You were in that movie, Primary Colors?
Well, My voice is now. I was cut out. I played a network correspondent.
That's the movie that's not about Bill Clinton, right?
Exactly. That's the one.
That's a good movie.
And I remember the audition was just a couple of lines, even though it was far much more than that when we got to set. I sat down with he and the casting director. They were both sitting across from me somewhere at Universal, in some office at Universal. I did the 3 lines or 2 or 3 lines, whatever it was. And then there was this awkward silence. And I said, well, I can do a monologue. And he just cracked up. And I'll tell any of your viewers or listeners that if you can make them laugh, you stand a pretty good shot at the role.
Even if it's not a comedy you're auditioning for?
I would say so. Not make them laugh with necessarily the dialogue, but it's just something happens spontaneously in the audition that brings laughter. This is an excellent example of it. I got an audition for NCIS Los Angeles. It was the role of a judge, and I'm in the audition.
Is that the one with LL Cool J?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I had scenes with him, and in one scene, I'm about to make a guy take an oath of citizenship. And I say, raise your right hand. And I go through this whole thing during the course of the audition. And when I'm done, I realize, I say, oh, that's my left hand. And everybody in the audition room cracked up, It was totally unintentional, but I got the job.
Nice.
And I remember going there and I seen all these older men with the patches on their elbows and the wire rim glasses and the bald heads. I'm thinking, there's no way they're going to cast me as a judge. And I did, because I made them laugh.
Speaking of LL Cool J, do you know what the LL stands for?
I do.
You do?
I'm a hip-hop head.
Oh,
Ladies love.
Ladies love. Oh, nice. That's
My
fantastic.
radio, believe me, I like it loud. I'm the man with the box that can rock the crowd. I'm an old hip-hop head, man.
Nice. All right. Well, this interview just got started. So then you did a bunch of things. You did a bunch of stuff, and it's all cool and whatnot, and that's great. But what I want to talk about, before we talk about some newer stuff,
okay,
you might not know this, because you're from San Diego and not Detroit, but just kidding. There's a fella who is a legend. Like, it doesn't matter who you talk to. It doesn't matter if you're talking about dramas or TV shows, movies. It doesn't matter. This dude is a legend. You might know his name, and it'd be weird if you didn't, because you were in scenes with him. Tell me what it was like to work with the great Sydney Poitier.
Oh, man. That was really a full circle moment for me in so many ways. Like I told you, I was a tour guide at Universal Studios. You're talking about Sneakers. The movie was a Universal film, so we shot on the Universal lot.
Is Sneakers that Robert Redford movie?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Cool. River Phoenix, Dan Aykroyd, David Strathairn, Mary McDonnell.
Nice.
I had read a book years ago, long before Sneakers, about how to conduct yourself on a film set. You don't go running up to the star, introducing yourself, saying, I'm such a fan. You just kind of lay back in the cut and let things kind of unfold as they unfold.
FYI, that's
Yes.
also how you should live your actual real life. Anybody who's listening, if you see TV stars, movie stars, sports stars, whatever, Act like you've been there. Don't act the fool. Just take it. You're going to scare the shit out of these people. So just relax.
Especially in today's climate.
Yeah,
you just don't want to run up on people.
That's right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Joe, it's okay. We're having a conversation. Anyway, so there was a table read, and I'm in the last scene of the movie, the final climactic scene. But I shot 5 days, so I was there quite a bit. But anyway, so the only name I knew connected with the movie was Robert Redford. That was all I knew. So I'm sitting down, and people are starting to arrive. First, Redford walks in, and okay, I was ready for that one. Then Dan Aykroyd walks in, like, okay. Elwood Blues, River Phoenix walks in, the late River Phoenix, beautiful kid. I loved him. Then Sydney Poitier and James Earl Jones come walking in together. I'm like, holy shit. This is the man that I grew up worshiping.
I'm sure they both are.
Absolutely. Films I had been watching since I was knee-high to a duck. So anyway, I didn't bother to try and meet him. Anyway, fast forward to the week I was on set. I remember I was sitting down and there was an empty chair next to me, and he came and sat down in the empty chair next to me. I don't remember exactly how the conversation started, but I remembered a story from his autobiography he had written about his first audition in New York. At that time, he was working as a dishwasher in various restaurants. So he said, well, being an actor has got to be better than being a freaking dishwasher. So he goes to this audition. He stinks up the place. The guy that's running the audition grabs him by his collar, throws him out of the front door and says, go get a job washing dishes. And he's walking down the street and he's just perplexed. He's like, how the hell did that guy know I was a dishwasher? I told him that story. Anyway, we sat there and laughed about it and we talked. He was warm. He was gracious. He was funny. He was accessible. He was everything you would want Sydney Poitier to be. And James Earl, wonderful dude, man. Wonderful. Oh, you didn't ask me about him, but he was a good dude. I'll tell you a quick James Earl Jones story from that set as well. In that scene, after we retrieve what we've come to retrieve, we're the National Security Agency and we're exiting their lair. And my shoes are making a lot of noise. So generally what you do is you slip booties over the shoes so that when the actor's walking, you don't hear it doesn't sound like a Clydesdale. So after I had done it, shot it a couple of times, the sound guy said, can we get some, he looked at my shoes and he said, can we get some black booties over here for Tony? And James Earl says, black booties? I want some. in his best Darth Vader voice.
That's amazing. I love that. Oh, that's so funny.
And his comic timing with it was black booties. And on a completely silent set, I want some.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Back to you were sitting at that table and there was an empty chair and Sir Sidney Poitier walked up and said, can I sit here or whatever? And
he didn't ask me.
well, there you go. And that he was everything that you wanted him to be. He was everything you hoped he would be. So I love it when they're everything you hope them to be. Like, you didn't tell any bad stories. You didn't even have a bad look on your face when you were talking about this wonderful actor that everybody, including you, admires so much. Like, there was nothing bad to say. But I loved your turn as a psychologist on This Is Us. Tell me about all of Randall's problems. Well, first, let me ask you this. This is what my wife told me to ask you. How could you possibly keep your composure and do your job sitting across from that beautiful man, smelling his cologne, staring deep into that beautiful, beautiful face? So first, answer that.
First of all, it was post-COVID. So our scene was much like what you and I are doing right now. My scene was with him, but I actually never met him because it was a Zoom call within the show.
That's right. It was after he fired that other lady.
He wanted some blackness.
Yeah, probably. But I think his character wanted somebody who could understand what the hell he was talking about. And that stuffy white lady wasn't going to do it.
Sometimes things are just culturally
different.
Thank you. That's what he was looking for, somebody who, like you said, could relate to his needs at the time. So, yeah, man, it was a strange experience. It was my first job post-COVID. So I had to test like 5 times prior to, and they kept you isolated. when you're on a show, you used to be able to just kind of hang out on the set until it's your turn. Those days are over, pal. They keep everybody separated. You stay in your trailer until it's time to come to set. Then they have these pods set up where you sit in that pod until the AD comes and gets you and takes you to the set, keeping your mask on all the time. It's not as much fun as it used to be. And
it sounds like a blast.
Yeah, I sure hope this passes. But just had another job recently, and it was very similar circumstances.
Well, much like a kidney stone, it will pass, but it will not be comfortable.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Contactee is the new movie from me, Vincent Caldoni. When therapist Jay Rossi is assigned a patient who claims to have been abducted by aliens, her story wins him over. Her tales begin to take on an aura of truth rather than insane delusion, and he concocts a plan to confront the alien intelligence. He absconds with her to a cabin in the mountains to document the phenomenon, prove that she is not crazy. But see, here's the thing. Messing with an otherworldly intelligence proves to be more dangerous than either Jay or his patient could have ever foreseen. Contactee is a heady thriller, more focused on ideas than CGI, and loaded with twists. For more details, visit contacteemovie.com.
Let's get back into it.
I want to talk about some other things.
Okay.
What is Yellowjackets?
Yellowjackets is a new Showtime series. It's about a high school championship girls soccer team, and they are en route to play in a tournament when their plane crashes in the Canadian wilderness in 1995, and they're left to their own devices. It becomes, Lord of the Flies, but then they're rescued and they're brought back to civilization.
After how long?
I'm not
exactly depends on how long the series goes.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to, tell tales out of school.
Sure.
But they're brought back to civilization. So you have your teen cast and you have your adult cast. So you have the girls as teens and you have them as adults. So the show kind of jumps time periods from when they're young and in the wilderness to when they're adult women and they're back in New Jersey. I play their high school principal.
When? Oh, well, I guess that's a dumb question. My apologies.
No, not really, because you visit my character in both time periods, present day and in 1995. So they had to do some aging or some de-aging of me.
We'll go with they aged you up. Let's go with that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it airs November 14th on Showtime.
Now, the pilot airs, right? That's when the pilot airs?
Yes.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if it is a spoiler, but are you only in the pilot or are you throughout the series?
I am not throughout the series. I am just in the pilot. As of now.
As of now. He's all,
let's look forward to next season.
That's what I'm talking about. There's going to be it was high school. There was drama in high school.
That's what I'm
Principal's going to have to break up all kinds of stuff.
Let's send this tape to the producers. And I got to tell you, that director, Karen Kusama, she was amazing. She put this actor through his paces. She was very exacting, let's say. Nice. And she wanted a certain performance, and she got it. Because, I went in with my preconceived notions of how these scenes should be played, and she had a different idea. But she was very clear. This was her job, was to direct me. And I like to believe that I followed her directions and gave her the performance that she wanted.
Well, I guess we're going to find out when all of a sudden the pilot comes around and there is no principal.
Well, I'm in the promos.
Oh, well, that's amazing.
I'm in the promos. So
hey, here's a question. I never even thought to ask this, but I don't need any specifics. But if you're in the promos for something, do you get a little extra bonus? Do you get a little check?
Yes.
Really? Oh, that's cool. Good. You should. That's good to hear. So we're going to jump from high school to college. Tell me about National Champions, man. You got a big old movie coming out with all kinds of folks in it and stuff.
Oh, man. National Champions. For starters, let me tell you, it was the best script I ever read.
Really? Wait a minute. Hold on.
It sounds like I'm blowing smoke.
It does, because you got to read all those Hunter scripts.
You're funny, man. You're a funny dude.
Oh.
But I got to tell you, I've read hundreds of screenplays, and I was on the edge of my seat. I couldn't believe that I was about to be a part of this amazing story. It stars J.K. Simmons, who we all know.
Yeah, he's the yellow peanut M&M. Go ahead.
He is?
He is.
He was?
Yep, he still is.
I know he's a State
Farmers Insurance, yeah. But also he's the yellow peanut M&M.
Oh, but I think of him as the guy from Whiplash.
Yeah, you do.
Man, and that's all I was thinking about was J.K.'s freaking Simmons. Uzo Aduba,
Crazy Eyes?
Crazy Eyes from Orange is the New Black.
I'm going to pause you real quick.
Sure.
There's only 2 people in the history of the Emmys who have won an Emmy for the same character in both the comedy and drama categories. The first one is Ed Asner, and the second one is her, Uzo Aduba.
No,
that's it. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, and
so she's in this.
A very key role as well. It's Stephan James, who you might remember from Selma or If Beale Street Could Talk.
Mm-hmm.
He was also in 7 Bridges.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
But also Timothy Olyphantastic is in this, and so is Kristen Chenoweth, who everybody says my wife looks like.
All righty then. You married up, pal.
Way up, dude. I mean, way up.
To give you a little history, Tim Oliphant and I were in a film called The Crazies.
Okay.
So it's the second time I've appeared in a film with Mr. Oliphant. But anyway, Stephan James plays a college quarterback on the eve of the big game, and he ignites a player strike.
On the eve of a big game? The national championship.
Thank you. You said it, not me.
I said it.
J.K. Simmons plays his coach.
Shocker. I
play one of the NCAA brass who was brought in to manage the situation. So
interesting.
Yeah. And Mr. Simmons and I find ourselves at odds, at cross purposes. It's really the best role I've ever had in a mainstream motion picture. Shot down in New Orleans for 2 weeks with Rick Roman Waugh, the director, who is fucking brilliant. I'm sorry to drop an F-bomb on your show, man, but he is.
I did earlier, so let's go.
He is fucking brilliant. I mean, generally speaking, when an actor shows up on a set, the director isn't involved with the actor. He cast him for the work he did in the audition, and he doesn't bother with his performance, generally speaking. He's involved with the lighting and the lenses and the sound and the camera angles and blah, 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 blah. But Rick Roman Waugh was as well-versed in this story with these characters, with our motivations, with our little idiosyncrasies, what our super objectives were. You could talk to him about any aspect of your character, and he knew it. Then he'd turn on a dime and go and talk to the sound man, go and talk to the, the cameraman. And he was just amazing, man. He is a brilliant, brilliant dude. I've never met anybody quite like him before. And I always kind of maintain that the director has to be the smartest guy in the room. And Rick Roman Waugh is no exception to my rule.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
So this film is going to be actually in theaters, thank Jesus, in theaters November 24th, right?
Yes.
Have you seen the completed film?
I have not. However, I did do some ADR on it a couple of weeks ago. So I saw a couple of my scenes. It looks freaking amazing.
Nice.
It doesn't look like actors in a scene. It looks like almost like a freaking documentary.
Really?
Yeah. It's like you're a fly on the wall watching this drama unfold. I'll just put it like that.
Watching these people handle their business.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, man. That's exciting stuff.
It looks really good. And I thought, holy crap. And, Rick is very pleased. When he sent me the email about doing the ADR work, he said, man, we got a film here. He said, it is testing gangbusters.
Oh, and, good.
Then if the studio's releasing it on November 24th, that kind of speaks to the quality.
Kind of does.
Yeah. Thanksgiving weekend, that says a lot. I'll just put it like that.
I would imagine if the studio is going to release it that weekend, they're expecting it to have legs all the way through the end of the year and maybe beyond.
And I say it's going to be on the hunt, man. It's going to be on the hunt for everything.
Sweet.
You heard it right here first.
That's right. Y'all pay attention, damn it.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Oh, I know that you were in a play written by Woody Allen. Tell me a little bit about that.
It was called Don't Drink the Water, and it was brilliant. And I never really thought of myself as a comic actor, but I'll tell you something. The dialogue in that piece is so spot on, so funny, so well written that all I had to do was just deliver the line and the audience would be in stitches.
Really?
That was what a play I did in college.
Okay. So how did you spend your COVID, Tony?
Making self-tapes. See this backdrop here in my office?
Yes.
That gray backdrop?
I do.
I have a ring light over there. That's what I do, man. I get auditions and we create self-tapes at home. What was more interesting was that I picked up my tennis racket again.
Really?
Yeah. I hadn't played since college.
Now I'm confused. You're in LA, right?
Right.
I thought that Garcetti and Newsom said y'all couldn't play tennis.
Well, the parks were open.
All right.
They were closed for a time, though. But a group of my friends started getting together at March, April, May, somewhere around there.
Of this year?
Of 20.
Of 20. Okay.
And they invited me to come out. I told them, guys, I hadn't played in years. I got to go buy a tennis racket. So I bought one. And of course, I went out there and I sucked for the first several weeks.
Well, it's been a minute, so.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And in my head, I can still play like I'm 20.
Yeah, me too. And I bet in Jordan's head, he could still dunk like when he was 22.
Yeah. Well, Dr. J can still dunk.
Yeah, but he doesn't even have to jump. He can just stand on his toes and dunk.
Well, it helps when you're like 6'6" or whatever.
It certainly doesn't hurt.
No. But yeah, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing.
You still doing it?
Playing tennis? Yeah. Play about once, twice a week. I want to go to the gym, but the problem is I can't stand wearing a mask. And you have to wear a mask at my gym now. So I haven't quite worked my way through that yet. So
sure. There's enough stuff to do outside where you can breathe fresh air.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
Nice.
And,
you should make a self-tape of you playing tennis and just see what that gets you.
I've tried, and it's not pretty. I do not look like Roger Federer out there, man. And it's pretty sad because in my mind, I'm moving around like Serena Williams, and then I look at the tape, I'm like, holy, I look like an old man out there,
Yeah, so, in your mind, you're young OJ, and in reality, you're OJ right now. You can barely walk. You're all, oh no. All right, cool. Tony, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, man.
I am Tony Winters on Facebook. I am Pretty Tony Winters on Instagram.
I'm going to make you explain that.
I have to, man, because people think I think I'm cute or something like that. No, I'm not.
You are cute.
I had a moment. But no, it's really just kind of a tip of the hat to Muhammad Ali, how he would say, I'm so pretty, And it's kind of a self-esteem thing, and not for me, but for me and many like me. And it's also, when I was a kid, I saw a movie called The Mac. It was a blaxploitation film from the 70s. And there was a character in there played by Dick Anthony Williams. He was a pimp, and his character was named Pretty Tony. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. How can a guy call himself pretty? And then I combined it with the Muhammad Ali. So it was a nickname that I adopted like in high school, Pretty Tony. That's kind of where it comes from. You have to call yourself something on Instagram, and Tony Winters was taken.
Of course it was.
And I'm at Twitter at Tony Winters 128.
Why 128? You're all because there was 127 other Tony Winters.
No, December 8th.
Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, well, that's awesome because on your birthday this year, you can go see your pretty face on the big screen. Because as we said, National Champions will be in theaters starting November 24th. Everybody wait and go see it on December 8th. Just kidding. Go see it opening weekend with your whole family. That way, there'll be 2 whole hours that you and your family are not fighting about politics, COVID, the game, all that shit. Everybody go see this movie November 24th in theaters everywhere. It's called National Champions. Hey, man, what was it like to finally get on the other side of the camera to direct some fools? First of all, what was the project and how did you get to direct it?
A friend of mine, his name is Carl Gilliard. He's probably my closest.
Oh, I know Carl.
You know Carl?
No, go ahead.
He's probably my closest collaborator because I made a couple of films some years ago. We didn't get into all that, but Carl helped me produce the first one and he directed the second one. So the year before last, he decided that he was going to create a web series or a series. It's called 2 Degrees, the series. And it's about his journey between his second divorce and his third marriage. So it's loosely based on that time in his life. So he did the first season and I appear in it as an actor. And then for the second season, which we didn't even know he was going to have, but he found an investor. So he hired folks to not only write episodes, but to direct them as well. And of course, I was asked. And so I wrote one and directed it. And it's even more gratifying than being an actor who nails a scene to have other talented performers execute your story right before your eyes. It's just the most amazing experience, anybody working in film can have. So anyway, it's called 2 Degrees the series. I did episode 4 and it's coming out sometime in 2022.
Where?
That's the $64,000 question. We're going to take it a step up. We're looking for an offer from Netflix, from Hulu, from, a major streamer.
That's super rad, man. I'm looking forward to it. Where can I find season 1?
YouTube.
And it's called 2 Degrees, the series.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Before I let you go, Tony, is there anything that we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about today? Did I miss anything?
Steve, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. Of all the podcasts I've done, yours was the most enjoyable because you listen.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? What were we talking about?
Listen. You got me again.
I can't believe I got you again. That's
you got
amazing.
me again. No, but you listen and you do your research and you're prepared. You don't just have a list of pre-programmed questions. So I appreciate your preparation and I appreciate your ear and I appreciate your good humor, man.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I had a blast as well. Tony Winters, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street. Man, I really appreciate it. I had a blast. And you have a great rest of your week, man.
You too, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2001 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend, subscribe, and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.